Local history. Local culture. Local events. Your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
And welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Jim Piccola is our guest. He is the Public Information Officer for Region 2, State Department of Transportation. And we're going to be talking about some DOT projects, some that have wrapped up, some that are ongoing, and maybe even something about some future projects. But before we do any of that, we're going to say welcome, Jim. Good to see you again.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. The project, before I get into projects, Region 2, what does that encompass? That's certainly Oneida County.
Yep. Region 2 has 6 counties in it: Madison, Oneida, Herkimer, Hamilton, Fulton, Montgomery.
And it's based out of Utica? The headquarters is in Utica?
Based out of Utica, the state office building.
Speaking of the state office building, Jim, I don't know, I haven't been down there in a while, but earlier this year, there was a lot of work going on in the plaza. Now, I know that's OGS, but you work down there. That's your office, right?
Yeah, I have an office in the state office building and also at one of the field offices for the Route 5S project.
What's going on? What was going on down there at the state office building?
They redid that whole front section. Absolutely beautiful job. It took a little while, but again, it was well worth it. And just as you come into the building there and everything, and not also the first plaza, but the one in the back over towards the county building,
yeah,
that was all redone too. So no, the building looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. In past years, Jim, I remember going back to Utica's good old summertime. They used to have entertainment right in there and activities. Do you see that coming back?
I'd like to see that. I
Yeah.
remember when they would close the street down
Yeah.
and have vendors and entertainment through
Yeah.
there. Yeah, no, it was very nice, and would love to see that stuff come back.
The big Region 2 project, in my eyes anyway, because this is where I live, was the project on Oriskany Boulevard by the auditorium. Boy, did that change things down there. Is that completed now?
Yeah, there's just some minor punch list stuff that we're waiting on to get completed, but yes, that project is completed. It's being from the city of Utica, it's a great project, and it started off as a safety project with the intersection of Genesee Street and 5S. It kind of grew, and but now it's again, it's a beautiful project that hopefully calms traffic down through that corridor. Is the mobility that it gives the motorists traveling through there, and also with pedestrian traffic, being able to go from downtown into the Bag Square area, then off into the Harbor Point area.
I don't know if people just had their act together or if they kind of lucked out, but you had the hospital now coming in down there, making that roadway even more important. You got the Nexus project next to the auditorium. You got a hockey team in the auditorium that draws big crowds. It seems like that road improvement project was really needed.
Yeah. We were looking at that for years, and like I said, though, it really started at that intersection there, and then it kind of grew and looked at a bunch of different traffic calming things that we could do there to make it safer for pedestrian and motor vehicle traffic with the introduction of the roundabout at John Street. Again, slowing that traffic that's coming in from the east, from the valley, as it approaches the downtown area. And I think they hit it out of the ballpark. They did a great job with it.
Is that what a roundabout does, calm traffic, Jim?
Yeah, the roundabout, basically, it gives you mobility, but what it does is it, instead of having like where you would have a traffic light and you have the possibility of having what they call a T-bone or a 90-degree angle there, this here is a lot safer. Traffic enters the roundabout at a much lower speed and a slighter angle, so if there is a collision, it's more to damage done to a vehicle or whatever than to personal injury.
I remember when roundabouts have been used in other areas, other states for many years, but we didn't have one in Utica. And I remember it was Mayor Rafaro who was advocating for a roundabout on Oneida Square, and it got some pushback from people. They didn't want a roundabout, but it seems now that that's all going very smoothly on Oneida Square on John Street.
Yeah, I know the one over there by Burger King at Oneida Square. You know, people are like, oh, roundabout. But again, when I used to go to UFA and used to go in the afternoon for lunch, it was crazy trying to cross that section. Now I think it's much easier, and I think people really do have no issues navigating that, and also, again, down at John Street.
Yeah, I don't think there's any issues either. The only issue I have is people who don't know how to enter a roundabout. They think if they can beat you to it, that it's okay for them to enter. But the way it's supposed to go, Jim, is it not? That you go in when there's nobody coming in the opposite way.
Right. As you're approaching the roundabout, I think if you look, the speed is supposed to be 15 miles an hour. So you slow down, you look to see to your right if anybody is in the traffic, in the roundabout. And if they are, you yield to those folks until you have room to get in. And that's from any of the directions. So,
yeah. How much did, off the top of your head, do you know, Jim, how much that Oriskany Street, I call it the Oriskany Street Project, what's its official name?
It's Route 5S Safety Project.
Okay.
And that project cost around, I think around $21 million. Yep.
The, everything is so expensive when you get into road work. My goodness, I mean, you know, these numbers, $21 million, even paving a street for a block is expensive, let alone getting in there and doing what you did. The project went from where? The roundabout or beyond that, Jim?
Basically from Cornelia Street to Broad Street, and then from Bleecker Street all the way down to Broad on John Street in front of the Federal Building.
Is there any concern about pedestrian traffic on that road? And I'm thinking about on hockey nights and other events at the auditorium when people are crossing from the south side of Oriskany Boulevard to get into the auditorium.
Yeah. Also with the project, all the enhancements done to the crosswalks there, the center median, which is a refuge too for folks. Like I said, I mean, it's a much more walkable downtown setting, and all the way through that corridor. Also, when I was talking about the $21 million was the project that we had on the Genesee Street ramp, which goes from Wirtz Ave down to Whitesboro Street. That is part of that cost involved in there. And there, where we had a multi-use trail added, we reduced it from 2 lanes down to 1 and put the multi-use trail in there. And every day when I drive through there, I see lots of people using that, and it's a great corridor now for that, bringing the Bag Square downtown area into Harbor Point as that develops also.
Harbor Point, I want to ask you about that when we come back from a break. Jim Piccola is our guest. He's with the State Department of Transportation. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Jim Piccola is our guest. He is Public Information Officer with State DOT. He is headquartered down at the State Office Building in downtown Utica. We're talking about various state projects. You mentioned Harbor Point. Whenever I'm down in that area, I look at those buildings that used to belong, well, maybe they still belong to State DOT. It's that little road you go back into the inner harbor. And there's the hotel now on either side of that, but they're old canal buildings. You know what I mean, Jim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are those still owned by the state?
They were owned by the Canal Corp. I don't know if they've been transferred over to the city. I would think it would be. But I'm not sure about that.
That's the Harbor Point project. I mean, that's been talked about for you. The state isn't using those buildings anymore, Jim?
No, I don't think there's any. The Canal Corp, I have not seen them in there.
Okay.
But you know, our premises with Harbor Point was, you know, as that section develops, the multi-use trail that we had put in with the Genesee Street ramp there was to connect, hopefully someday in the future, to the Empire State Trail. That was what we'd like to see.
Now, the Empire State Trail, that's the trail that goes along the canal?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yep.
And that just recently got completed from, is it from Albany to Buffalo?
Albany to Buffalo, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful project, and again, just quality of life stuff that's
Yeah.
added to the area.
So that would go to the Canal Corporation, that trail, or does
That trail belongs, my understanding, belongs to the Canal Corp, yes.
Somebody told me, Jim, and I don't know, it wasn't anybody in official position, but somebody told me not to be surprised to see a pedestrian bridge go from like where PJ Green is over to that Harbor Point area eventually, to get people from there over to Harbor Point when Harbor Point gets developed. You ever heard any rumors of that?
I've heard that, but I'm not sure how true
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
But I think that the multi-use trail that we just used on the John Street ramp there really lends a great, safe way for people to, get from the Bag Square downtown area into Harbor Point and vice versa. Absolutely.
I've noticed on DOT projects, including the Oriskany Boulevard project, including the pedestrian bridge over the arterial over by Kozar's, I've noticed that when DOT does these projects now, there are signage, history signage,
Yep.
benches, parks, green. That's all, I would guess, then a part of the philosophy of what DOT is trying to do.
Absolutely. Trying to make that north-south arterial corridor much safer, which I think we have definitely accomplished, with the new bridges, especially the bridge over Court Street and the addition of the pedestrian bridge. Also, all the enhancements that were done to the crossings in that whole area, much safer for everybody. But there's also that quality of life, is to be able to get back and forth from one side to the other, and then along that, and that's again where we have a multi-use trail, and along those trails, it's just not a trail, there's the benches, and then we do have those kiosks which go along the corridor, which gives the history of that whole area. It was once a canal, and then it became a railroad, and then now a highway. So it's quite interesting, and like I said, if people do walk down through there, to take a couple of minutes and read those kiosks and kind of see what the history was of that area.
Yeah. When work was being done over there on the north-south arterial, actually that is the approximate route of the Shenango Canal. I think the Shenango Canal was just a little bit to the east, Jim?
It's my understanding it was right there.
Right there.
Over the canal, or over where the road sits now, and then, like I said, after it was the canal, it became the trains and the railroad, and then now the highway. I think it was in '64 that they opened the actual highway.
I remember the day, actually, and it was a big deal for Utica then, to be able to cut through a city like that. When work was done on the north-south arterial and work was done on the Oriskany Boulevard, both of those roads are over what used to be a canal. They filled them in, the Erie Canal, the Shenango Canal. Was any archaeology work done there at all, Jim?
Yeah, actually on both projects we had archaeologists from the New York State Museum that were out there. They did work before the project started, kind of locating where stuff was, and then during the project when our contractors were out there digging. And I was fortunate enough to be an inspector on both of those projects, and running into that stuff was kind of neat.
Sure.
The archaeologists would be there and they would take, pictures, we'd get elevations, locations and stuff like that. So yeah, great to see some of that old history.
Was anything dug up that ended up in the State Museum?
I think there was stuff that they did take to the State Museum. I know there was a lot of artifacts over there along Lincoln Ave in the arterial. The old privies, they find a lot of stuff in. There was the White's pottery pieces that we found, and just different things throughout the that whole entire area.
Yeah. Griffiths, the old Griffiths Air Force Base, DOT, and now the Griffiths Business and Technology Park. DOT's been busy up there. Yes?
Yeah, what a beautiful job. I mean, that job started, there was 3 phases with the Veterans Memorial Parkway project, and finished the last phase a few years ago. I just think it's an example of how, infrastructure can help build you know, that park. You could see how it's taken off with all the businesses and stuff, not only making a safe corridor through there and getting people in and out, but also, like I said, being able to be developed around there. And that's what a lot of businesses that are growing or looking to come to the area look for, is good infrastructure.
That calming effect that you talked about with a roundabout, there's 2 roundabouts, I think, in there.
There's, yeah, 2 with this last project, but there was the one initially with one of the projects at Ellsworth and at Ellsworth. So there's 3 actually roundabouts in there, and you know, they function very well, and some beautiful sculptures in there too.
There are. That whole sculpture park that they have up there, the sculpture space in Utica is responsible for a lot of that stuff. The Griffiths project, was that federal money in there too, or was that all state, Jim?
That's federal and state blended. Usually most of our jobs are 80% federal, 20 state, and that's pretty much how they usually go. But there are some jobs that we do strictly with state funded funds.
Okay. When we come back, I'm going to ask you a little bit about that project in New Hartford that has kind of changed things around a little bit. The replacement bridge, and I don't know if you'll know how old that bridge was, but think about how old that bridge was that's getting replaced. Jim Piccola is our guest. He's with State DOT. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Jim Piccola is our guest. He is a public information officer for State DOT Region 2, which includes our area and, what did you say, 7 other counties?
6 counties
total. 6 other counties.
Yeah.
Big area to cover. You probably know the roads around here better than anybody because you're probably on them all the time, yeah?
Yeah. When I first started being on survey design with the state, we covered every county that was there and got to see places I never saw before.
Yeah, I'll bet. Coming down the arterial, the north-south arterial, the other day, I saw one of the signs. What do you call those signs, Jim?
VMS boards?
EMS boards.
VMS boards.
VMS boards. Yep. And they were advertising for jobs, plow drivers.
Yes.
I don't know that I've ever seen that from the state before.
Yeah. We just actually did a press event last week. Assistant Commissioner Hennessy came in, and we talked about, we got 27 full-time positions available here in the Mohawk Valley, and we're looking to fill them. So go to newyorkstate.gov, look up the DOT, and come in and see us at any of our residencies or stop down to the state office building, and we'd love to talk to you about these jobs and go from there.
Well, I never thought I'd see the day when that would happen. I mean, when I was a young man, getting in with the state, boy, that was like getting in with NIMO or the telephone company.
Yeah.
Another big project that went awful fast, it seemed to me anyway, was the bridge over, what's that waterway in Forestport?
Forestport Reservoir?
Yeah.
A lot of people refer to as that, yes.
Yeah. Big project?
Yeah, that was a big project. One of the things you'll see, like on our Route 8 bridge in New Hartford that we're doing, it's called what they call stage construction. So they were looking at what to do there. Do we go stage construction, and that will take us through the spring, summer, and fall, or do we try to see if we can get that done in a very short period of time to open that up for the summer season into the Adirondacks and also the fall? And that's what we ended up going with. We had great cooperation with the local officials there, and our contractor did an amazing job, and our staff did, and we were able to start in April and have that actually open a few days before the 4th of July weekend, which was great to see, and minimize the traveling impacts to the traveling public.
All right. The Greg Huxley Memorial Bridge, correct?
Yes. Yep.
How does that come about when bridges are named after somebody, or roadways are named after somebody that are on state bridges or state roads. There must be a long process involved with that.
There is. Usually it's one of the local officials puts together a proposal, then it has to go to the state assembly and Senate, and then it gets voted on and then brought back here, and then we're told to, dedicate that bridge.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned Assistant Commissioner Hennessy. Is he from this area?
no, Sean is actually from Watertown. He is the Assistant Commissioner for both Region 2, Region 3, which is the Syracuse, and then also Watertown.
Okay, I was searching my memory. We used to have a commissioner that was from our area, and I can't think of his name.
Joe Boardman from Rome.
Joe,
Rome
there you
area.
go.
Yeah, outstanding.
The bridge in New Hartford,
Yes.
that's getting replaced. How old is the bridge that is getting replaced?
I'm pretty sure that the bridge that's there was in 1960. So that is being totally replaced. It's being raised a little bit higher. It's been hit in the past. And also what we're
Been
doing,
hit by what?
trucks
Really?
with their boxes up, or equipment that someone doesn't put down or tie down and stuff.
All right.
The legal load should have no issue, but sometimes stuff gets done. But so the bridge is being raised, and also the length of the bridge is being extended. One of the things I know that folks I hear about is the weave underneath to get off and on those ramps from 8. But we are looking at that for future when we do the whole entire interchange there. So one step at a time, but the bridge was in dire need of being replaced, and we hope to have at least the first stage done this year. We're looking to see when, weather and being the availability of getting the steel here on time. But if everything goes to plan, we should hopefully try to have that open this year. But if not, we'll complete that come spring.
Is there a lifespan on a bridge, Jim, or does it depend where it is?
I think a lot of our bridges we build to at least be close to 100 years. With you definitely have to do maintenance on them, but a lot of these bridges are around for a long time.
Yeah, the roadway over, see, that'd be what I call the old Commercial Drive. I don't know what they call it now, but Commercial Drive by Consumer Square. Oh yeah, is that state road there?
That is state. Yep.
Boy, that seems to have a lot of congestion. Was that road made for that amount of traffic?
Oh yeah, you do have your, especially around the holidays. That's when you see the most. With the development of all like Consumer Square and all, Sangertown and what have you. But we're able to, with the technology is getting so smart with our traffic control devices, that we can monitor all of that, and we change the timing and stuff. So when we do have those periods, like during the holiday season, our folks are constantly monitoring that and making things try to run as smoothly as possible.
So is there actually somebody, Jim, sitting at a desk that's watching traffic counts and how long you're sitting in a light and all that kind of stuff?
Well, not so much just sitting and watching, but we have what we call our Transportation Management Center, which is over off of Shenango Road at one of our residencies. And, we kind of know that those time of years that we have, so our people, our engineers also pay more attention to it at that time, and we monitor it a little bit more closely. And they're able to make those changes to, like I said, try to make traffic flow as quickly and as safely as possible.
And the changes you're talking about, Jim, would that be this red light will stay red longer or shorter, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely, or green longer to flush traffic through. And these traffic signals are getting smarter and smarter all the time.
And now with the not the billboards, but the message, that's got to be a godsend to the state too, to be able to contact people. Yeah,
all the VMS boards, they're able to actually, on the computer, get to them, put up messages. So like if you have a road closed or something going on, that you can actually get the traveling public to know what's coming up ahead of time.
And with an Amber Alert.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Where is that all controlled from?
We get something like that. The Amber Alert would come from probably 511 in our main office in Albany. To put those things on.
All right, good. Jim, it was great talking with you.
My pleasure.
Continued success to you.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for us this week, but we'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget cnyhomepage.com. There's lots of good stuff there, including an archive of all our past shows. So until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.